Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yejia, and on my channel I teach you how to crochet. We do a lot of styling, we sometimes talk about K-pop. If that's something you're interested in, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment, etc, etc. This is gonna be my part 1 of cute, quick, and beginner-friendly crochet gift ideas and projects. I think in my part 2 it's going to be a little bit more unisex, where I am going to show you how to create more winter warm wearable accessories. Think like scarves, gloves, things like that. This video admittedly is a little bit more so for the more feminine people in your life, because I'm going to be showing you how to create bows and roses and whatnot. Not saying that like no masculine people in your life can't wear it and rock it, but I acknowledge it is a bit more feminine. I also just think that besides creating accessories and like little hair stuff and earmuffs and whatnot, I think these would be really cute on top of little gifts in order to like decorate your gift. I also think that these would be so adorable as Christmas decoration to put up around your room, your apartment, etc, etc. So make sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified when part 2 drops. But let's get into today's tutorial. I'm going to show you how I created these bows. It's very simple, it's just a 1-stitch repeat, but I actually got this pattern from another video tutorial and I will link it down below in my description box. But these big bows I think are absolutely perfect to attach on to either a nice little headband like this in order to create earmuffs, or I think it would also be really cute to just put like a pin in the back of it and then wear it as a little ribbon in your hair. For this pattern I am using a 5mm hook as well as chenille. I don't really know how to say it. I think it's chenille, I don't know. It's basically this like velvety plushy yarn. So our bow consists of 3 parts. There is the bow portion, and then there's like the ribbon portion, and then the tie that goes around it all. So the first thing that I'm going to show you how to make is the bow portion. For the bow portion, you are going to start off with a slip knot, and to make a slip knot, I usually kind of hold my end like so, and then twist around and pull up my yarn. And then I go ahead and put that loop on my hook and tighten up just like so. So we are going to start off by chaining 45, and to chain you are just going to yarn over once and then pull through. So do that 45 times. I have finished making 45 chains, and now we are going to start off with a slip stitch into the second chain from our hook. So not this first one, but the second one, we are going to slip stitch, which is basically just a yarn over and you pull it through and just keep pulling it through. So you've made 1 slip stitch, and now we are going to do 20 half double crochets. To do a half double crochet, you are going to yarn over, insert your hook into your chain, yarn over and pull up that yarn over once more, and then go through all 3 loops on your hook. So that is your first half double crochet. And again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's your second half double crochet, and you're going to continue making half double crochets for 20 stitches. So I've finished the slip stitch and then 20 half double crochets, and now for the next 2 stitches we are going to do slip stitches. So just 1, 2 slip stitches, and then now we're going to go right back on ahead and make 20 more half double crochets. So just to recap, I've done 1 slip stitch, 20 half double crochets, 2 slip stitches, 20 more half double crochets, and then in this last stitch we are going to create yet another slip stitch. And now you are going to chain 1 and turn your work, And from here, we are going to do the same exact process where we are going to start off with a slip stitch. Our slip stitch, I'm going to work it into the back of my stitch. So I'm going to go through the back and create a slip stitch. And same goes with my half double crochet stitches. I am going to go into the backs of my stitches, which is right here. So if you can see, you'll see that there's like a little braiding detail up here. And then if you look at the top of your stitch, you want to go through the back. So again, you're going to slip stitch, 20 half double crochet through the back loop only, 2 slip stitches through the back loop, and then 20 half double crochets through the back loop, and then 1 slip stitch through the back loop. And basically you are just going to continue repeating that row until you have sort of a length. Basically, you just want to get it to whatever measurement you want. As I was working it up, I was making sure to kind of press it up against my ear to see if I needed to add or decrease rows. But yeah, so I have finished 8 rows total of my bow portion. And now what we're going to do is sort of close it up and then seam these ends together. So in order to do that, I am going to create 1 chain, and unfortunately I have a little factory knot in here, but actually that kind of works out because this is going to be the back of my work, so it can be a little ugly. And what we are going to do now is I am going to sort of hold these 2 ends together just like so, and I'm going to go into the sides of my stitches, yarn over and pull through just everything. So again, making sure to go into the sides of stitches on both ends. And like I said, this is going to be the back of your work, so if it ends up looking a little messy, I think that that is perfectly fine, because I know that mine will look messy. So that is what my seam sort of looks like. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my yarn and snip it off. So that is what our seam is looking like, and that is what our bow portion is looking like so far. From here, I'm going to take a tapestry needle and I'm going to use that long end that we snipped off for sewing. I'm gonna go ahead and put that through my needle. This yarn honestly kind of sucks when you snip it off because it does shed a little bit, so just be warned. But basically I am gonna make sure that this seam is matching sort of the cinched in part. These are where you created those 2 slip stitches. I'm gonna make sure that that part is like matched up. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my needle through and just kind of weave it in and out on both sides. I'm kind of shoving my yarn through and my needle through. So we're cinching it together so it's a bit more bow-like. And honestly, I'm just gonna do this and repeat this sort of weaving method a couple of times in order to secure that end, as well as really create for a more cinched bow experience. So as you can see, it's cinching in and it's looking a lot more like a bow. And I think because especially I'm using a plush yarn, so it's a lot harder to see those like really obvious ends. But then on top of that, we're going to make a separate tie portion. So these little ugly seams and ends are eventually going to be covered. So don't worry too much about that right now. Ooh, ew. Yeah, I'm just going to snip that off. But yeah, this is what we're looking like. Honestly, I just kind of like tie these ends together just so that they're a little bit more out of the way, they're secure, and then eventually they'll get tied together with the tie portion, so it's fine. So that is how you make the bow portion, and now we are going to make the ribbon portion, which is this part, and it's a very similar process, honestly. So I'm gonna start off with yet another slip knot, put it on my hook, tighten that up, and I'm gonna start off by chaining 25. All right, so I've gone ahead and chained 25 chains, and from here we are going to do half double crochets for 11 stitches, starting in the second chain from our hook. So not this first loop, but this second one. We're gonna go in and start creating half double crochets for the first 11 stitches. So I just finished my 11 half double crochet stitches, and in the next 2 stitches you are going to do 2 slip stitches. So 1 slip stitch, and then the next stitch, that would be 2 slip stitches. And then you're going to finish this row off by creating another 11 half double crochets. And from here, once you are done with your row, you are going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to repeat that same process and also through the back loops. So again, we're going to go into that first half double crochet through the back loop and make 11 half double crochets. And then once we're done with our first 11 stitches, we're going to go into the next 2 and do our slip stitches, and then finish it off with the 11 half double crochets. So I did 8 rows in total for this bow portion, and for the ribbon portion you are going to want to do the same number of rows that you did for your bow. So if you did a different number of rows, do that number. But for myself, I am going to be doing 8 rows total. Finished my ribbon portion, and again it is 8 rows, and now I'm going to go ahead and just pull my yarn out and get it off my hook and snip it right off. At this point, I would also recommend that you just go ahead and weave these ends in so they're just not, you know, dangling off of your little bow. So again, just to do that, I go ahead and thread my yarn through my needle. And honestly, with this one, I just kind of like go in and out because the plush yarn really kind of hides everything pretty well. And yeah, I honestly just kind of go like this and pull through. And again on this side, I just kind of loop it through, back and forth, pull through, and then make sure to like kind of flatten it out so that it's not bunching, and then I just go ahead and trim off the excess. Alright, so that is how we make the little ribbon portion, and now I'm going to show you how I create the tie. So for the tie portion, you are again going to start off with a slip knot, put that on your hook, and go ahead by chaining 15. And from here, we are going to go into the back of our stitches and create just slip stitches all the way through. I would start into the second chain from your hook, and you're really just going to create slip stitches just all along the length of your row. And then once you get to the end of your row, go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, and continue doing slip stitches into the backs of your stitches. Now I would do this for about like 5 to 6 rows. So I'll be right back when that's done. Okay, so I've completed 5 rows of my slip stitches through the back loops, and now what we're going to do is kind of scrunch up your ribbon portion and put it behind your bow portion. And we are going to take our tie and wrap it around, really stretch it around the bow and the ribbon. And I'm going to give myself another chain 1 right here, And from here, I am going to do kind of the same thing I did with the bow portion, where I'm going to match up my ends of my tie, and I'm going to go into the sides of my stitches, just tightening up my yarn. I'm going to go into the sides of my stitches here on the tie portion and slip stitch everything all together. Okay, so I've slip stitched the seam of my ties together, and then I'm gonna go ahead and snip off that yarn. And then from here, you just kind of gotta shimmy all of your parts into the correct place. And another thing that I like to do from here is the back of our bow is gonna look messy. I just have accepted it. Plus it's gonna be like against my head, so I don't really care. And then I'm gonna go ahead and like tie up the ends of my yarn. But more than that, I am going to take the end of my yarn and thread it through my needle and really like scrunch up that tie portion, because I feel like that allows for like a better, cuter looking bow. I'm gonna really scrunch up and really tighten that up, and then I'm gonna go through and kind of sew all of my parts together just to really ensure that everything is secured, as well as creating for what I feel like is a cuter effect overall. I'm just gonna kind of do that a couple of times, where I'm just kind of going in and out through like the bow portion, through the tie. Really scrunching everything up all together and securing my ends. And like as I'm working, I'm kind of looking at the front of it. I'm like, do I want to scrunch it up even more? And then I kind of sew that portion down. So yeah, other than that, you can just start sort of snipping off some of your extra ends. And then honestly, kind of depending on what you need the bow for, you can kind of leave the back kind of messy, honestly. And then you can either take a scrap piece of yarn in order to secure it onto your headband. What I would recommend is taking your headband and kind of shoving it through the tie portion of your ribbon, just like so, and then taking a scrap piece of yarn in order to sew around it. And then for extra security, I would also really highly recommend gluing, like hot gluing or craft gluing this down. But yeah, that's how you create the bow. This is the final product for the earmuffs, and honestly, at first I thought that it was more gonna be like a hair accessory, like a cutesy little thing and not really for warmth. But I don't know if it's because like my apartment faces the sun all day, and so it's actually been quite warm in my apartment despite it being winter here in Chicago. But A, everything sounds muffled, and B, my ears are actually really quite warm right now. But I think they turned out so stinking cute. Honestly, when I made these, I was like, wow, these feel like they would be really good for like cosplay purposes because they are just so cutesy. But I do definitely have some outfits where I'm like, oh, I want to look like I'm in Winter Wonderland. Like this would be adorable. Adorable. And definitely I think using the velvety, like plushy chenille yarn was definitely the move, because I think that actually creates for like a warmer or like insulating earmuff, if that makes sense. I feel like such a pretty little princess, just like covered in her bows and her pearls and all that. despite the fact that my hair is very oily right now. Does anybody have a good dry shampoo recommendation? Irrelevant, but yeah. I hope you guys like this tutorial. I think this would be a really cute gift idea, either made into the earmuffs or like hair accessories in general. Okay, so I just finished filming the tutorial for the big fluffy bow. I made them as a little earmuff thing situation, but I also created a big bow using some red mohair yarn using the exact same steps. The bow came out just a tad bit smaller, just because the yarn is a little bit thinner than the fluffy chenille yarn that I used for the earmuffs. But I think that this like standalone is so stinking cute. Hold on, let me turn around and give you a 360. Can you see it? I have no idea what you guys are looking at. I think it's so cute. I think it's perfect for the holiday season. Honestly, I think that if you were to like hot glue or honestly just like put the pin in and then like put it in some pretty packaging, it could be a super cute, like nice, simple, handmade hair accessory gift for your girlies. I think also like if I made a bajillion of these bows, I think I just want to like put them all over my Christmas tree. I want to put them like all over the apartment as decor for the holidays. And yeah, I also feel like this also kind of goes for all of the things that I'm showing you how to make in this video. I feel like what would be so cute is to do like, I love wrapping my gifts in parchment paper just because I really like that clean, like minimal look, but also like, I don't know, it's also like really cheap. It's like really cost efficient to do that. And then I feel like you can put cute little like handmade tags or like handmade accessories to decorate the packaging and gift wrapping even further. And I feel like making a little bow to put on top of your gift wrap would be so stinking cute. Like imagine a wrapped gift in parchment paper with a big fluffy red bow on top. Okay, so the next type of bow that I'm going to show you how to make is arguably way easier because it's just a braided chain, but I think it has a lot of different purposes where you can wear it as a little necklace, you can incorporate it in your hair, you can incorporate it on your clothes, on your bags, on your headphones. Honestly, I think that this would also create for really cute gift wrapping. Like if you had just regular butcher brown paper to wrap your gift and then you added this like crochet bow on top, I think that would be so adorable. But anyways, these bows, you're going to start off by creating your slip knot and then putting that on your hook, and you're going to start off by chaining one, and make sure that this first stitch, this first like loop you have is not too tight either. So make sure you go ahead and chain one. And now we're going to go into the back of that chain, and we are going to yarn over and do a slip stitch. So that is one slip stitch. And then now for the rest of the braid, you are just going to go into this side of the last chain that you've created, yarn over and pull through. Again, you're going to go into the side of the last little chain that you created, yarn over and pull through. So as you can see, once you start getting the hang of it, it goes by really pretty quickly. And it also works up very quickly as well, which is super nice. And you get this beautiful like braided effect. And that's what the back looks like. And so yeah, that is how you create this next type of bow. Okay, so I have just gone ahead and created my last stitch. So I'm just gonna pull my yarn through, and you've created essentially a really long braid. I didn't count like how many chains or how many stitches I created. The length of this will really depend on what you plan to use for it. I have really long hair, which is why mine is fairly long. But if you just want to create like a little bow for like on the side of your headphones or something like that, you can make your chain much shorter. But this is what it looks like tied in a quick little bow. Not the neatest little bow, but still how to weave in those pesky little ends. So go ahead and thread it through your needle. And the braiding is kind of what I consider the front of my work. So I'm going to twist it and look at the back. And I'm essentially just going to go ahead and thread my yarn through the backs of my stitches that I have created. So then you still have a very nice braiding from the front, but you can weave in your ends. Okay, now I'm gonna take these ribbon braided crochet chains that I made and then also tie them into my hair. I think that these also would be so stinking cute as like, honestly, I kind of tie really ugly bows, to be honest, but I feel like it would just be so cute, like as a little bow, you tack it on top of a Christmas gift, or like you decorate your apartment with it or your Christmas tree. Anyways, I really want to braid it into my hair, so I'm actually gonna take this out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and like part my hair. My thing when I part my hair, I am not a hair girly, but like, this is kind of fun. I don't know. When I part my hair to do braids, I try not to go like really down the middle, because I feel like it's cuter when you have like a little bit more volume in the back here. Again, like I am not a hair girly, so there could be better ways to do this. There probably are better ways to do this, but that's just like one of my things. And so I just kind of part my hair where I need it to be, and then I take some elastics and I'll gather it into like a side ponytail. I have a small mirror right here next to me, which is what I'm staring at. Yeah, for me, like these like front hair pieces are so important because I feel like they just do a lot to frame my face, and so I make sure to kind of like shimmy them out a little bit. But yeah, I go ahead and like tie this all together. Then I make sure that like these two low ponytails are somewhat even, kind of. And then I'll go ahead and take my ribbon and I will go through the back of my ponytail that I made, like go back through the back of the elastic and sort of shimmy that through. And I'll try to even it out so the ends are pretty even in terms of like how much they're extending. And then I'll go ahead and like wrap around the elastic to try to hide it a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and like part my hair into 3 parts and then go ahead and braid. And I'll braid the ribbon in. And personally, I love this bright white yarn in my hair because I have such dark hair. I feel like it's a really nice contrast, and when you do these ribbon braid hairstyles, I think it's always really cool to have nice contrast in your hair, because I've definitely made the, not mistake, but like the choice of doing it with like black ribbon before, and like you just don't see it. And it's like, what did I put all that effort in for? So yeah, I definitely recommend doing it. Like if you want it to be a ribbon that you put in your hair, I would recommend doing it in like a distinctly different color than your hair, which might sound obvious, but Okay, and then I have like leftover ends, and I go ahead and kind of like wrap it around like I tied a secondary elastic at the bottom here, and I go ahead and wrap it around that elastic. Not well, but I wrap it like that. Yeah. And then I go ahead and tie myself a little bow. So yeah, then you have a cute little bow at the end here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and match it on the other side. So yeah, hopefully this was like a pretty easy tutorial for you guys, and you can see the next one. This whole video is very much like hair accessories, but also you can use them in a variety of ways. Honestly, I feel like this ribbon too, this braid, would be really cute as like a little bow necklace as well. And because it's like fluffy yarn, I feel like it'd be kind of warm too. Not like sub-zero warm, but like, you know, on a slightly chilly day. Okay, so the last tutorial slash accessory I want to show you is how I make this 3D rose. I've actually already taught this on my channel before, but it was with a top. And then this, I just want to highlight it because I think it's so cute. I think this would also be just like a perfect little gift as a little hair accessory, or like putting it on the sides of a headband and like hot gluing that together and like having just a really cute rose earmuff. I've honestly loved creating these roses and using them as little accessories, like little bag charms, or like as a necklace, and etc, etc. There's just so many different ways to wear it. So let me show you yet again. I think when I made my original tutorial, I might have used a smaller hook, but this just kind of goes to show like you can play around with the hook size, you can play with what yarn you use. I personally love these crochet roses when they are created out of this like mohair yarn, and also I just have like a bunch of this mohair yarn that I'm trying to kind of use up. So I am using a mohair yarn as well as a 4mm hook. The first thing I'm going to do is create my slip knot. Go ahead and slip that on your hook. And from here, you can make your rose different sizes. Like you can make a smaller rose, this is a medium rose, and then you can make like a bigger, fluffier rose. Actually, 1 second. This is actually one of the very first roses that I crocheted, and my partner uses it as a charm for his headphones now. But this is the large size, and it's also done with an acrylic red yarn. And so you can see that it is significantly bigger. This starts off with 91 chains. This one starts off with 61 chains, and if you want to go even smaller, I'd probably estimate it'd probably be about like that, that big. You should start off with like 31 stitches or 31 chains. But anyways, let me go ahead and show you the tutorial. So for this one and this size, I'm going to start off with 61 chains. So again, I'm just gonna go ahead and start chaining 61. So I've gone ahead and chained 61 chains, and from here we are going to chain an additional 5. So again, like if you want to make a bigger size rose, you should start off with 91. If you want to make a slightly smaller rose, start off with 31, and then all the stitch work, all the steps after are going to be the exact same. So now you're going to chain an additional 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to start making a double crochet into the 6th chain from our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had my finger right on it, but I just want to count out loud with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and make my double crochet. And let me also explain how you make a double crochet, but this is like, if you don't need my step-by-step tutorial, you can just keep following the instructions. And the next thing that we're going to do is skip 2 of our chains and then go into the 3rd chain. So in order to make a double crochet, you are going to yarn over once, insert your hook, yarn over again, and then pull up, yarn over once more, pull through 2, yarn over for the last time, and pull through 2. So that's how you make a double crochet. And now we're going to chain 3, so 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to insert yet another double crochet into the same stitch you just made a double crochet in. As you can see, we are kind of creating a V shape here with our double crochet, 3 chains, double crochet. And so you're going to repeat this down the line of chains that you have. What you are going to repeat is skipping the next 2 chains and going into the 3rd chain to make a double crochet, chaining 3, and then making another double crochet into the same stitch. So again, just go ahead and finish out your row with this stitch sequence. Okay, so I have finished my row, and as you may start to notice, it's starting to kind of curl in on itself, and that's completely fine, completely normal. The next step, it's actually going to curl in even more. I just want to warn you so you don't think you're doing anything wrong. But the next step we are going to do is chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we are going to turn our work. And now we can see here that the chain 3 in between our double crochets is kind of forming a V formation, and then in between that we have what I consider our O stitches. So we have V, O, V, O, V, O, V, etc., etc. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do 8 double crochets in each V chain space, and then in the O chain space, or I guess it's not a chain space technically, but it's in between these 2 double crochets, and in these O spaces we're going to put a single crochet. So this turning chain, the 3 turning chains that we just made, is going to count as our first double crochet. Therefore, in our first chain space that we have here, we are going to insert 7 more double crochets. So into this first V space, we are crocheting 8 double crochets total, but the first turning chain I do count as a double crochet, so go ahead and just put 7 more in this first one. Truth be told, if you did put 8 instead of 7 in this first one, it really wouldn't be the end of the world. You roll up this row anyways, so it's really not going to be that big of an issue. And in the next little space that we see, we're going to insert our hook into that O space, and we're going to insert a single crochet. And then now we're at a V space, so we're going to enter our hook and put in 8 double crochets. And then in our next little space here, we're doing a single crochet, and a single crochet is when you just insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through 2. So you are going to complete your row, inserting 8 double crochets into your V spaces, or the chain 3 space, and then single crochets into the O spaces. So I am at my last little V space here, and so I'm going to insert my last set of 8 double crochets. Okay, that was my last double crochet, so I'm just going to pull out my yarn, and I'm going to give myself quite a bit of length in order to use that to sew my actual rows together. Essentially you can start at either end, but what we're going to start doing is kind of making sure our end is not getting in our way, but we are going to start rolling I find it easiest to sort of hold this first like chain slash first row that we made, kind of hold that portion so that your petals are essentially pedaling the way that you want them to. So you're kind of rolling it into the shape that you want it to be in. Making sure that it looks good from the front. We're gonna turn it onto its back, and I'm going to grab a little tapestry needle. I'm going ahead and threading that through, threading one of your ends through the needle. Particularly with mohair yarns, but with like any yarn, if you're struggling to get it through the needle, twist that end so that it's not as like fuzzy, so that you can get it through. And from here, we are going to take our end and just kind of trying to catch most of the layers in the back of your rows. Going to sew everything together. And honestly, I just kind of go back and forth until the end of my, or until my ends are basically all sewn through. Okay, the sun is like really in my eye right now, but this is actually an older rose that I made about a year ago that I still love wearing to this day as an accessory. I love it wearing it as a necklace. I like putting it in my hair, on my bag. That's like a little charm. But here is my finished headband with my roses. I think she's so cute. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, part of me is like, am I too old for this? But also, I'm like, I don't care. I'm a woman, and this is like so feminine, and I love it. Okay, so that's a little headband that I created. I also went ahead and I crocheted a really large rose. I started off with a chain of 91. So like I was saying in the tutorial portion, bless you. My dog sneezed. But like I was saying in the tutorial portion, you can start off with a different number of chains in order to size the roses differently. So if you start off with 31, you'll get a smaller rose than this. If you start off with 61, this is the size you should get. And then 91 is kind of like the bigger rose. And this is what the bigger rose is looking like. Let me turn around and show you. Also, I was watching the Red Velvet teaser for A Chill Kill, and I saw that Irene had a little rose in her hair, and I was like, ah, we can twin. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these tutorials. I'm actually going to be coming out with a sort of part 2 to these like winter crochet accessories. I think that will be more of like a unisex type of gift idea. I think this is much more feminine, much more for the girlies in your life, the bows and the roses and whatnot. I think that there's nothing wrong with anyone who is a little bit more masculine wearing them, but it is a bit more feminine. I will be coming out with more unisex winter accessories type of a video where I'm going to show you how to make a really cute scarf, some mittens, some like, you know, warm accessories. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel in order to see that. I think I'm supposed to do like the YouTuber thing where I tell you to like turn on the notification bell so you actually get like the notification that I've published a video, so do that. Make sure to like, comment, and share with your friends. And leave me any questions that you might have down below. I hope you guys have a really great time recreating this tutorial, and I will see you guys later. Bye!